I was at my hairdresser's yesterday. Yeah, you might have noticed I've had my hair cut, or maybe you don't. Maybe it doesn't make any difference to my look. But anyway, back to my hairdresser, Georgie. One thing I like to do at the hairdresser is to have a chat. That's one of the defining features of haircut and hairdressing, I feel. In my next life, I'll probably be reborn as a hairdresser or a bar attendant or an Uber driver, just so that I can chat. But yesterday, though, there was a lot on my mind. And when Georgie began the normal prompts for conversation, like what are you doing for the weekend, or are you having a busy day, I only gave very brief answers to those prompts. And so the conversation went nowhere. We spent most of the haircut being quiet. And it occurred to me after that as a society, we don't have this part of our communication sorted out. That how to communicate when we don't want to talk. Logically, it's very simple. It's just saying, I don't feel like talking, or saying something like, there's a lot on my mind, so if you're okay, can I sit in silence for a bit? So all those are logical, but we don't do it. And in my experience, it's not very common. And so we don't know how to initiate that, and we don't know how to respond to it, mainly because it's not common. When we book an Uber ride, if you book under Uber Comfort, you can select a conversation option, and you can indicate whether you're happy to talk or not. And this on the surface seems to be a good solution, for a customer to tell the driver they need to focus and they don't want to talk, they have work to do. And knowing engineers, I think it makes sense to an engineer to put an option like that in. I can foresee certain scenarios for a business person or somebody actually doing work in the car where that's useful. But by and large, though, and a technology option like this, to me, misrepresents what conversation actually is. Conversations are not something that one person dictates. It is an activity between people. It is part of a relationship. And so in almost all cases, I can't tell whether I'm happy to chat until I start a conversation and I get a response, or somebody else starts a conversation and I have to respond. So, for instance, yesterday at the hairdresser, when my hairdresser started the conversation, it could have gone differently if she says something like, if she said something that taps into what's on my mind, and it could have led to me pouring my heart out, and it could have been a long conversation. Or if my kids were there and they said something silly, I would have engaged with that, and my hairdresser would have jumped in, and therefore we would have a long conversation. So I can't tell when I sit down on that hairdressing chair whether I want to have a conversation or not. So like most things relational and between people, conversations are unpredictable, they're non-deterministic, and to an extent they are messy. But also they are beautiful, and they're energizing, and they're creative. It's what makes things between people so amazing. So it's an art form that's worth devoting time to again and again for us to get better and better at it. So I hope my hairdresser will still talk to me the next time I go. I'm sure she will, because they are a wonderful and hardy bunch, hairdressers. And I will need to do some of my own work to sort out how I communicate when I want to be left in silence. But what about you? How do you like to chat? And how do you communicate when you want to chat and when you want to be left alone? So let me know in the comments. I'll see you in the next video.